Well, hello, ladies and gentlemen. I was just trying to do something a little bit fancy today and see if it worked. And it looks like it worked. If you can see the Nostradamus prophet or disinfo agent, you probably can't because I'm not looking at it now. This is how it was supposed to work, ladies and gentlemen. See, it was supposed to work like this. That's how the show was supposed to begin. So let's just pretend that this is the way it did begin. And that first part you didn't see. So isn't this kind of spiffy? Nostradamus, prophet or Jesuit disinformation agent? This is New Cosmic Knowledge. I'm Jeffrey Daugherty. And I know this is going to be somewhat emotional for some of you, because I know a lot of you really believe a lot in Nostradamus. I know a lot of you believe in people that believe a lot in Nostradamus. And for the record, I have not watched any videos other than about 3 minutes of a video of a certain individual that we won't mention because I don't want everybody thinking I'm shooting at this person, because I'm not. So I've never watched any of these videos. I don't really know what people believe about Nostradamus. And folks, I don't go looking for this information. I don't go looking for these subjects. These subjects come looking for me. It's just the way it happens. It's just the way it works. It drops on me. I get it. I run with it. So we're going to talk about Nostradamus. We're going to talk about the Nostradamus that everybody loves to talk about. We're going to talk about the Nostradamus that everybody loves to read about. We're going to talk about the Nostradamus that everybody just pretty much loves. And we're going to ask whether he was a true prophet, as many of you believe, or if he was a Jesuit disinformation agent. And why does it even matter, Jeff? Well, the reason that it matters is and I'll be frank with you, I've never been a Nostradamus guy. Just never been a Nostradamus guy. I'm very hardcore. You got to remember, I came out of hardcore Protestant Pentecostal Christianity. I was the Jesuit of the Protestants. That's what the Pentecostals are. And the Pentecostal evangelists are the Pentecostal evangelists are the Jesuits of the Protestant movement. We were the hardcore ones. We were the soldiers of Jesus. That's what the Jesuits are. We were, as Pentecostal evangelists, the Jesuits. And I was never a Nostradamus guy, and I'm going to tell you why. Because back in my day, when every jot, every tittle, every line, every promise in the book was mine, back when I believed that all scripture is God-breathed and inspired and profitable for rebuke, correction, encouragement, and doctrine, back when I thought that every jot, every tittle, every line was divine, back when I thought the whole thing, from Genesis 1:1 to Revelation 22:21, and yes, that's all of it, was 100% God-breathed, that it was inspired word of God, inerrant 100%. Back when I believed that, there were scriptures in there that said that if a prophet prophesies something that's not true, then don't ever listen to that prophet again. I think even Nostradamus's most adoring admirers would admit that he made some predictions that seemingly haven't come true. So I knew the guy was wrong more than he was right. So I didn't really have much more use for him after that. Also, I was able to see, even then, I was objective enough, I was empirical enough, I was scholarly enough to see that his quatrains are written in such cryptic, such general language as to be very easily interpreted and very easily applied to various and sundry situations, and therefore the bar for them being prophetic was very, very low. And that always disturbed me, ladies and gentlemen, because I'm a high bar kind of guy. You know, I take you to the text, I show you everything. I don't want anything left to subjection. I don't want anything to be subject. I don't want anything to be left to, I don't know why my vocabulary is fleeing me, anything left to conjecture. Just don't want that to be. So I've never been a big Nostradamus guy. I haven't been. But so why are you even doing a show about him? Well, I'm doing a show about him because it came to me the fact that if Nostradamus wasn't legit, and so many people think he is legit, and he does a lot of things that have to do with eschatology. A lot of his words are being used for eschatology, for end time events. And I just happen to say, well, what if Nostradamus is involved in the Jesuit conspiracy? What if Nostradamus's teachings are being bandied about with such enthusiasm? What if they're being promoted with such enthusiasm because they're part of the Jesuit fear and guilt control matrix? What if? Now, I thought it was a shot in the dark because I didn't think that Nostradamus was concurrent with Ignatius of Loyola. Oh, wait a second, ladies and gentlemen. Stop the presses. Rocky Stucci, hashtag shut up. He is in the house. Good to see you, Rocky. So as I began to study this, it was like, whoa, I was shocked. And if he has deep ties to the Jesuits, then he has deep ties to the eschatological fear and guilt control matrix. And if he does, he's part of the deception. And if part of him's part of the deception, then all of them's part of the deception. And it's just another bit of the fear and guilt control matrix designed to take you down, cousins. And I'm so glad that I left my flip-flops in perfect view of this podcast. That is not podcast excellence right there, ladies and gentlemen. That is not podcast excellence. And that's going to drive me crazy. And that's a short trip. So I got to move them. Sorry, but that would have just driven me the rest of the way crazy, ladies and gentlemen. Didn't mean to show my butt to everybody. Had a gay guy the other day tell me I had a nice butt. I thanked him, but I said, no homo, bro, and he laughed. So there's that. So let's go ahead and let's talk about this. Michelle Cannon-Free says her and Nostradamus share a name. All right. Rocky says, nice butt. Thanks, Rocky. I bet Rocky wanted to reach out and pinch it. I'm just thinking that he did. It's a good thing I was wearing pants, wasn't it? Good thing I was wearing pants. And here's already Nostradamus's defenders leap up. And like, here's a perfect one. Well, who is Hister if not Hitler? Well, Hister isn't Hitler. You'd have to want to believe that Hister is Hitler to empirically say that Hister is Hitler. That's just an example. I'm an objective scholar. I'm an empirical scholar. I've got the Bible college degree. I've got the associate's degree in anthropology. And that's just not the way you do things scholarly. That's just not the way you do things. You don't go into reading something wanting to believe something about it. You look at evidence objectively. You don't look to find something within evidence that you want to find. Therein lies part of the problem with this Nostradamus fellow. So let's move on and let's talk about Nostradamus. And let's talk about, and again, this isn't about Nostradamus's teachings per se. This is about whether or not Nostradamus was an agent of the Jesuits. That's all this is about. This is about whether or not, Don, Nostradamus is an agent of the Jesuits. I don't care what you think about him. I don't care what you believe about him. But I believe that if it can be shown and proven that he was look at this one, Histler could be Hillary, see? If it could be shown that he was an agent of the Jesuits, then I think that would be something to consider. Well, you'll just have to wait and see, won't you, Yoda Master Jedi? You'll just have to wait and see, won't you? So let's talk about this. And before we talk, and again, the whole thing is, what is Nostradamus, an agent of the Jesuits? I was going to look something up and I didn't, and I'm looking it up right now. Wow. Have any of you ever read the Jesuit Extreme Oath of Induction? This is why it matters to me. This is why it matters to me if Nostradamus was an agent of the Jesuits. This was published in 1843 in New York, translated from French, taken from a book named Subterranean Rome by Carlos Didier. Since he's French, I'm going to go with the French pronunciation. Carlos Didier. And I'm not going to read this whole thing because I probably should read the whole thing. It's a little bit, I'm going to read the whole thing. This is why it's important to me. If it can be proven that Nostradamus was in league with this group, it should cause you to think your devotion to him over. And if it can be proven that the people that are teaching doctrine that's in line with Nostradamus are part of this group or in line with this group, I think it should cause you to rethink your doctrine. So let's go ahead and read this. This is it's like if you've ever been to Catholic Church, they do this read and response thing. So this is a read and response thing. And I'm just going to give you probably most of it because it's maybe a page, but hey, if this is keeping you from cat videos, go ahead and go back to the cat videos. If this is keeping you from looking at Kardashian's ass, go ahead and look at that. I already showed you mine. What more could you want? But my son, heretofore you have been taught to act the dissembler among Roman Catholics, to be a Roman Catholic, and to be a spy even among your own brethren, to believe no man, to trust no man, among the reformers to be a reformer, among the Huguenots to be a Huguenot, among the Calvinists to be a Calvinist, among other Protestants generally to be a Protestant, and obtaining their confidence, to seek even to preach from their pulpits, and to denounce with all vehemence in your nature our holy religion and the Pope, and even to descend so low as to become a Jew among Jews, that you might be enabled to gather together all information for the benefit of your order as a faithful soldier of the Pope. You've been taught to insidiously plant the seeds of jealousy and hatred between communities, provinces, states that were at peace, and incite them to the deeds of blood, reading you the Jesuit oath, involving them in war with each other, and to create revolutions and civil wars in countries that were independent and prosperous, cultivating the arts and sciences and enjoying the blessings of peace, to take sides with the combatants, and to secretly act with your Jesuits who may be engaged on the other side, but openly opposed to that which you might be connected, only that the church might be the gainer in the end, in the conditions fixed in the treaties for peace, and the ends that justify the means. Can't you just hear Paul saying, when in Rome, do as Romans do. To this man I became that man. To those who are with the law, I became one with the law. Those without the law I became all things to all men. Where do you think they got it, folks? You've been taught to do your duty as a spy, to gather statistics, facts, information in your power from every source, ingratiate yourself into the confidence of the family circle of Protestants and heretics of every class and character, merchants, bankers, lawyers, schools, universities, parliaments, legislatures, judiciaries, councils of state, to be all things to all men. I haven't read this before, I swear. For the Pope's sake, whose servants we are unto death. You've received all your instructions as a novice, neophyte, served as coadjutor, confessor, priest, not been invested with all that's necessary to command in the army of Loyola, the service of the Pope, Ignatius of Loyola being the founder. You must serve the proper time as instrument and executioner, as directed by your superiors, for none can command here who has not consecrated his labors with the blood of the heretic. None can command here who has not consecrated his labors with the blood of the heretic. For without the shedding of blood can no man be saved. Therefore, to fit yourself for work and make your own salvation sure, you will, in addition to your former oath of obedience, to your allegiance to the Pope, repeat after me. I now, in the presence of Almighty God, the Blessed Virgin Mary, the Blessed Michael, the Archangel, John the Baptist, holy apostles, Peter, Paul, all the saints and sacred host of heaven, my ghostly father, Superior Council, Society of Jesus, founded by Loyola, Pontificate of Paul III, continue to the present, do by the womb of the Virgin, matrix of God, rod of Jesus, declare and swear, the holiness the Pope is Christ's vice regent, and the true and only head of the Catholic Universal Church throughout the earth, by virtue of the keys of binding and loosing his holiness, Jesus Christ. To the utmost of my power, I'll defend this doctrine of the holiness rite and custom against all usurpers of the heretical or Protestant authority. And then lists a bunch of countries. I do further declare the doctrine of the churches of England, Scotland, Calvinists, Huguenots, Protestants, liberals to be damnable. I do further declare I will advise and assist wherever I can be placed, and list a bunch of countries. I do further promise and declare that if I'm dispensed with to assume my religion heretical for the propaganda of the Mother Church's interest, I do further promise and declare I'll have no opinion or will of my own. I'll have no opinion or will of my own. I'll have no opinion or will of my own or any mental reservation, even as a corpse or a cadaver, but will unhesitatingly obey every command I may receive from my superiors in the militia of the Pope of Jesus Christ. I'll go wherever I'm supposed to go. I'll do whatever I'm supposed to do. I further promise and declare that I will, when opportunity presents, make and wage relentless war secretly and openly against all heretics, as I'm directed to do, to extirpate and exterminate them from the face of the earth. I will spare neither age, sex, or condition, that I will hang, waste, boil, flay, strangle, and bury alive, and presumably even tickle torture all these infamous heretics, rip up the stomachs and wombs of their women, crush, I don't need to go into that, in order to annihilate forever their race. That, when the same cannot be done openly, I'll do it secretly. I'll use the poison cup. I'll use the strangulating cord, the steel of the poignard, or the lead bullet, regardless of the honor, rank, dignity, or authority of the person or persons, whatever may be their condition in life, either in public or private, as I at any time may be directed to do so by any agent of the Pope or superior of the Brotherhood of my Holy Faith, or of the Society of the Jesus, of the Jesus. A little bit of Big Lebowski reference there. So anyway, that's why it's important to me if Nostradamus was aligned with the Jesuits. Because if he was aligned with that bunch, I don't have any interest in anything that he has to say. Let's take a quick look-see in the chat room and see what we got here. Just a quick one. Just a quick one. Just a quick one. Complaining about it isn't productive. I always felt a bit akin to him. Okay. Wasn't he an epileptic? Don't know. Unsure of Nostradamus, but do not discount some truths that resonate within me. See, that's the problem, girl with no name. And I know when I go after, when I address comments that people make, they think that I'm going after them. But if it can be proven that Nostradamus is in league with the Jesuits and he believes those things that we just read, how could some of his truths then resonate with you? I don't get it. I really don't get it. But that's okay. Interesting, since rumors are that Paul was epileptic. That's interesting, Tracy. It is. Fearmonger. If you don't like it, you can leave. Oh, that's a good point too, Alana. Were they following a script that he wrote? If he had the Jesuit playbook, of course he could predict what's coming. Ooh, even a blind squirrel finds a nut every now and then. Yes, he does. A broken clock is right twice a day. Yo, Happy friggin' Saturday. Shut up. I'm sorry, people. He has some wisdom, but he doesn't prove to be a real prophet. I'm glad some of you believe, but I don't believe in him. Plus, he doesn't carry good news. And I didn't even get into the fear factor. Nostradamus saying get skewed to fit the situation after, not before. Good point. Good point. Don't be ashamed of the flip-flops. Sounds like a bit of OCD, neat freak. Yeah, just a little bit. I'm not sure what viewpoint you have. Maybe the Illuminati. Don't let the empirical data get in your way. Ooh. Michelle Cannon-Free with a little bit of a burn. Thank you, Rachel, for the t-shirt compliment. I doubt Nostradamus was a Jesuit. Well, Max Vision, you ready for this? Never thought about it, but very interesting, Jeff. Sounds like Paul's playbook. Yes, it does. I missed what it is Jeff is reading. Jeff was reading the Jesuit Oath, Cat Rooney Cassidy. The newly engaged Cat Rooney Cassidy. Jeff, you tickle my mind, and you've thought-provoking ideas. I'm in the process of watching and listening to all of your videos. I love the fact that you're a Christian whistleblower. Well, actually, I'm the artist formerly known as the Christian whistleblower, but maybe that's just something I say, because it seems like I'm pretty much still that. Even Lucifer said some things that are true. Well, good, Watchful and Alert. You can follow Lucifer, too, if you want. That's all right. In every lie, there is some truth. Yeah, that's true. I told the churches of the U.S. to revoke their Jesuit oaths. Good for you, Delaney. The Pope of Jesus Christ. Oh, somebody was shaming everybody. Let's see what that was all about. I'm having fun with this. What does this say? Shame on all of them who took this oath. Absolutely, Delaney. What does Jesuit even mean? It means the Society of Jesus. It means the Army of Jesus. It was a group. And really, you're on Google. You're on the internet. Google it. Why are you in a chat room asking me what Jesuit means? I'm sorry. I'm a little upset. Why would you be on the internet and ask me what Jesuit means? Are you too lazy to Google Jesuit and hit enter? For God's sake. You're on the internet. Google it. Sorry. So sorry. It's entertaining how Pope Franny has declared God as Lucifer. It is. There's been a lot of attacks on Paul, Jesus, and Nostradamus. I can't judge the heart of them. Oh, really? You can't judge the heart of a guy that maimed and killed and murdered and lied and stole? You can't judge the heart of a guy that admitted that he lied to you to capture you? You can't judge that? Are you mentally deficient? Even Jesus said, judge, righteous judgment. I do not believe he was. His prophecies would not have been so convoluted for the normal person. Azteca, it's interesting how you make a decision before you hear the evidence. Just saying. Closely connected to the papacy. What is the significance to epilepsy? That's a great question. I'm gonna have to search that. Jehovah's Witnesses at her door, his door. History's not good when you read it, this stuff. I said another video, trying to warn people. I don't think he was a prophet. I think maybe he knew things. Does anyone have an answer? Chill out, Jeff. Sometimes we don't want to leave the awesome show to Google something. You can open another window. You don't have to leave. Jesuit doctrine is the Antichrist. Bearded Canuck, I have never listened to Tracy. You don't have to delete that. I've never listened to Naughty's videos. Never. That's my weakness. I'm so busy doing my own videos, 4, 5, 6, 7 videos a day, just like Rex. How many videos do you think Rex watches? Not many. How many do I watch? Not many. I watch just a few seconds of one to know that he was talking about, what was he talking about? Oh, that 3 days of darkness thing. All right, so less than 50%, Zora. And to me, that ain't too good. So let's go ahead and get into our stuff, ladies and gentlemen. So, number one, did Nostradamus know Ignatius of Loyola, who founded the Jesuits? Were they contemporaries? Were they boys? Were they down? Were they buddies? Well, Loyola was born in 1491, lived to 1556. He lived in the Basque region of Spain. If you know Spain, northeast Spain. Nostradamus was born in 1503. He died in 1566. He lived in the south of France. If you know your geography, and I'm not going to pull it up for you, I'm not going to spoon feed you that way. I'm looking for the rods. That's actually a good point. Ask the rods. If Nostradamus was a Jesuit, I don't want to bury the lead. We'll do that later. They lived in very close proximity to one another. Exhibit A. They lived at the same time. They lived in the same region. And this is interesting, ladies and gentlemen. This is interesting, ladies and gentlemen. Both Ignatius of Loyola and Nostradamus, and I'm actually going to get out of the chat room because it's distracting to me. I'm just trying to bring you some stuff here. Both, so please keep a fairly close eye on the chat room, my crack moderators. And you don't have to ban people for mentioning Naughty Beaver, just if they get argumentative. We don't like rudeness. Here's the first smoking gun, in my opinion. Ignatius of Loyola was a Jew. Nostradamus was a Jew. Ignatius of Loyola converted to Catholicism, many believe, as a way to avoid persecution. Nostradamus converted to Catholicism as a way to avoid persecution, so says his biographer. This is what is known as being a crypto Jew, ladies and gentlemen. I'm not against the Jews. I got nothing to say about Jews, and I got nothing to say about Jew either. Little joke, little lightheartedness. But to be a crypto Jew was to be a person that was a Jew that converted to Catholicism and pretended to be a Catholic, while in private they were still practicing and believing in the Judaic rituals. Well, Jeff, that's just ridiculous. Well, it's so ridiculous that the Jesuit Society, the Society of Jesus, was actually officially investigated by the Catholic Church when Ignatius of Loyola, for a short time fell out of favor with the new Pope. And you know why they investigated the Society of Jesus? Well, number one, probably because they were getting to be too powerful. But number two, they investigated them because there was, some say 75, 80% of their members were former Jews. What better way to hide being a Jew? And what better way to furtherance the continuance of your Jewish religion if you could be in the group that does the policing of the apostates? The Jesuits were the SS stormtrooper, black robed, jack-booted. I'm being metaphorical, or being metaphorical, drawing analogies. But they were the ones that hunted down the heretics and executed the heretics. And 75, 85% of them were former Jews. And most people believe, most scholarly work and empirical study says that the Jesuit order was a crypto-Jewish order. And Loyola was a crypto-Jew. Nostradamus was a crypto-Jew. And if you don't think that's a close connection, cousin, I don't really have anything else to say to you. If you can't see that, then you've lost the ability to think objectively, and you've lost the ability to think rationally. Both converted to Catholicism to escape persecution. Both were crypto-Jews. History shows us that Loyola, who was from, remember, Spain, went to France and spent many, many years in France, which is where Nostradamus lived. Nostradamus and Loyola were both in the south of France at the same time for a number of years. Both being crypto-Jews, both being in the south of France, both studying at the same universities at the same time. I think you'd call that a connection. I'm just saying. But or I should say, and Loyola of Ignatius would go on, Ignatius of Loyola, I'm sorry, would go on to found the Jesuit order. And he would go on to command the Counter-Reformation, which was the Catholic effort against the Protestant Reformation. It was the Catholic effort against the Protestant Reformation. Let me show you just a little something here real quickly. Let me show you something here real quickly. That's not what I wanted to show you. How about that? Nostradamus. Nostradamus. I'll show you a couple things about Nostradamus. Nostradamus, it talks about him being in opposition to the Protestant Reformation and a supporter of the Counter-Reformation movement. Where is that? I might just let you figure it out. I might just let you find it here. Here we go. According to Nostradamus for Dummies, page 66 to 68, Nostradamus remained a Roman Catholic and was opposed to the Protestant Reformation. So if he was a Roman Catholic, and if he was opposed to the Protestant Reformation, and if he was a crypto-Jew, and if he was in the same place at the same time with Ignatius of Loyola, is it possible that he had deep Jesuit ties? And by the way, while we're here, while we're here, during the time, ladies and gentlemen, during the time of, come on, man, I can't, my fingers are sweaty. well, let's just do this. During the time of the Inquisition, ladies and gentlemen, during the time of the Inquisition, it was well known that Nostradamus was dabbling in horoscopes, which of course is an astrological chart or diagram representing the positions of the sun, moon, planets. We all know what Christians and what the Catholic Church thinks about horoscopes. He was dabbling in necromancy, the practice of magic involving communication with the dead. He was involved in scrying, seeing, peeping, practice of looking at a suitable medium in hope of detecting messages or visions. And he was involved with charms, an incantation, enhancement, magical spell, or charm. He was involved in this stuff, and he was, as I just found out today and verified, he was a contemporary of John Dee. All this during the Inquisition. He was known to be a witch, a published witch. He published books on witchcraft, published them. But he was friends with King Charles of France. He was friends with the Medicis and the Medicis, however you say those people's names. Is it any coincidence that a guy can be a witch, a published witch, during the Inquisition and not get a knock on his door, not get his legs stretched, not get his knees busted? Could it be because he was a crypto Jew with Ignatius of Loyola and they were buddies? Nah, they were just at the same place at the same time for years and years and never knew each other, never saw each other at Starbucks, I'm sure. They never knew each other. Those crypto Jews probably didn't keep close account with one another. Ladies and gentlemen, they lived the same time in the same area. They both were crypto Jew converts to Catholicism. They both participated in forcing John Calvin out of France. They both were in the south of France at the same time, at the same schools for many years. Loyola started the Counter-Reformation movement. Nostradamus is historically linked to and known as an opponent of the Protestant Reformation and supporter of the Counter-Reformation movement. He was a published witch, scrying, all sorts of occultic practices during the Inquisition, and never got the first knock at his door. Why? Why not? Not having a horse in this race, being completely objective, being completely empirical, that's way too much evidence for me to overlook, suggesting that if Nostradamus was not a Jesuit agent, if Nostradamus was not a Jesuit spy, if Nostradamus was not working with and for at least Ignatius of Loyola, then he was a deep, deep, deep sympathizer. A deep, deep, deep sympathizer with the Jesuits. And he was employed and bought and paid for by the King of France and by the Medici family. Look them up and see how you feel about their origins. Was Nostradamus just a prophet, and a less than 50-50 prophet at that? Or was he a Jesuit disinformation agent. And should that color the way we view his prophecies? That's what I'll leave up. That's what I'll leave for you to decide. That's what I'll leave for you to decide. Just looking in the chat room. And of course, the Naughty Beaver thing got in there. And that's okay. Mystic Mama Nostradamus is a crypto Jew. Yes, he is. John Hogue appears on Leak. He rarely even discusses upcoming Nostradamus quatrains. Think Hogue is yeah, I don't know about John Hogue. Medici invented medicine, alchemy. Jeff saves the best facts for last. They still let him decide what's happening. Nostradamus says Adam and Eve are in the future. That's interesting. Frankenstein, Jesuits, and Nostradamus. More tears. So much deception. Some pretty convincing evidence, Jeff. Oh, Tracy, thank you for saying it so I don't have to say it. A number of modern channels appeal to those who have itchy ears, apparently. Bill H., that's a great point. The Protestant Reformation has controlled opposition. Great point. What a great point. The synchronicities, isn't that convenient? Could they be one and the same? Don't think so, Sherry. Good question, though. Naughty's open to the truth? I'm sure he is. And I don't like the fear factor involved with Nostradamus, but that's me. Thank you, Ricardo. I don't like the appellation of guru, but thank you, sir. I appreciate the comment. Not saying Naughty's wrong, but maybe his source is wrong. Yeah. The History Channel pushes Nostradamus. Who owns the media? Good question. Robert USN Vet, I'd like to know what he thinks about that. He's one of the smartest guys I sort of know. Nostradamus was a statistical historian who predicted the future based upon past events. Now, that's interesting. Sino means Catholic in name only. Craig, he did not foresaw Hitler. You believe that he foresaw Hitler. Nostradamus was a remote viewer using water in a copper or bronze bowl. Interesting. Of course he was a witch, says Alana Dawn. Yep. He was elite connected, absolutely. I wish I never read the Bible, lest to forget. That's a good point. Could Nostradamus' words be usurped by the Jesuits like they usurped Revelation? Max, you have to remember, they didn't usurp Revelation. They wrote it. They wrote it. Nostradamus was writing his words while he was buddies with Ignatius of Loyola. His buddy usurped his words? No, his buddy told him what to write. Come on, man. Ignatius of Loyola was probably sitting next to Nostradamus when he was writing some of that stuff. Come on, man. You have to want to believe that stuff to believe that stuff. They were homies that looked like nomies. Oh, that was good. I will ask the rods. Robert, what do you think of Nostradamus? Throw me an opinion, if you will. Throw me an opinion, if you will. Why couldn't he be a double agent? Why couldn't he? All right, so let's ask the rods. I would love to. Naughty's not going to be in the desert, though. Rods, please show me yes. Rods, please show me no. Nostra QAnon. That's good. What we're going to ask? We're going to ask, was Nostradamus a Jew? Yeah. Did Nostradamus convert out of fear of, they're already wanting to say yes, out of fear of persecution? Yes. Gonna start with the easy part. Did Nostradamus and Ignatius of Loyola know each other? Yes. Was Nostradamus in league with Loyola? Yes. Was Nostradamus a Jewish, or was Nostradamus a Jesuit agent? Yes. Okay. There you go. That was pretty easy. So there you go, ladies and gentlemen. That's all I got to say about it. That's all I've got to say about it. You can buy them on my website, jeffreydarty.com. There you go. I don't have anything pithy to end it on, but it looks like to me, from the objective evidence, that Nostradamus was an agent of the Jesuits. And in my humble opinion, that should color our understandings, use, dedication to, and belief in his writings and so-called prophetic utterances. Thank you, Madam Cat, Rowdy for Trump, Michelle DeHaven. Thank you. Thank you very much. That's how we unindoctrinate ourselves. That's how we create ourselves. This is how we start the inside job, and it is an inside job, ladies and gentlemen. We're the last generation of real humans. Let's get straight and let's get busy.